Xbox just scored a massive win. Not everyone loves Game Pass. Claim the secret Xbox perk. Has Xbox learned from its mistakes? Let's discuss. What's up, guys, and welcome to Xbox Ready, the YouTube channel that is all about Xbox. I talk news, I talk games, I talk rumors, I've done unboxings, I've done tutorials in the past. I pretty much talk about whatever I want on the channel. Only rule is that it has to be related to Xbox in some way. So if any of that sounds appealing to you, I would appreciate it if you subscribed. First up, let's talk about games with gold. Now, I know I haven't talked about games with gold in a long time. Honestly, kind of forgot about it. There had just been so many months in a row where I just wasn't into what they were offering. And then they stopped giving away past generation games. The last time I claimed a game off of Xbox games with gold was when they were giving away Portal 2, and that was a couple of months ago. But this month, and I can't believe that I'm just catching on to this, they're giving away Star Wars Episode 1 Racers. And I had to scoop this game up. If you're like me, you're similar age, you were a kid in the late 90s, early 2000s, there is like an 80% chance that you had this game, and it is awesome, and it's still awesome. If you haven't picked up on it yet, it is a racing game, a Star Wars racing game. Specifically, you are piloting pod racers as they appear in The Phantom Menace. You can race them around, of course, on that map in Tatooine, but all sorts of other tracks as well. You can even go and customize your pod racer, get a different pit droid to help you out and repair your pod racer if you ever get damaged while you're racing, because you can bump into things, you can bump into other racers, you can make other people literally blow up in this game. But yeah, it was awesome back then, it's awesome now. It was ported over by Aspire or Asper, or I don't know how to pronounce their name. They're the guys who are working on apparently the KOTOR remake. They've done a lot of other Star Wars ports as well, and while I don't know how the KOTOR remake is gonna go down, they're very good at porting over these old Star Wars games and making them playable on our current gen consoles. This game even has split screen support still, and that is like, it's something I miss very dearly. I'm starting to sound old, guys. I'm starting to sound old. Remember when I'd come over to your house and we'd play Star Wars Racers, and then we'd have ourselves a nice cold glass of Tang? But yeah, games of gold for the month of May. Instant W since they included this game. There's also a couple of other games available to claim as well, of course. Although I don't care nearly as much about them. There's like a Peaky Blinders game, and then there's a game called Hoa, I believe. It's a puzzle game, fantasy puzzle game. So yeah, if you want to check those out, feel free to go ahead if you have Xbox Live Gold, but definitely download Star Wars Episode 1 Racers. Next up, let's talk about the upcoming Xbox Showcase. It's set to go down June 11th. There's a lot of speculation going on about what they're going to show off exactly. Last year when they did the showcase, they came out and they were like, okay, all the games that you're going to see in this show, they're going to come out in the next 12 months. So over the next year, you'll be able to play all of these games. And I was caught up in the hype. I was there. It was my first Xbox event. And I was like, oh my God, this sounds awesome. And it was especially cool if you're a Game Pass subscriber, because it's like, okay, all these games are coming to Game Pass over the next year. This is essentially, if I pay for Game Pass for the next year, $120, this is what I'm getting for my money. As we all know, not all the games made the cutoff for that 12-month showcase. And there's a rumor going around now, thanks to Jez Corden's appearance on Xbox 2, his podcast that he has with Randall Thor, that they're ditching that format. They're not doing the whole like, okay, next 12 months, this is what we have to look forward to. He said, I will say that there are some things slated for showcase which are a bit further out. I'm 75% sure some games that I've heard that are going to be at the showcase are surely further out than 12 months. So unless some of these games are launching sooner than expected. Now, I've seen there are a couple of people that are upset about this, and I can kind of understand why, especially if you're a Game Pass subscriber, because Xbox with the showcase kind of has to justify people's purchase and continued subscription to Game Pass with whatever they're gonna show. The whole appeal of Game Pass is that we get day one titles. And if there are no day one titles coming over the next year that justify buying Game Pass, then why should I be subscribing? Ideally, this is how it would go, at least from my perspective. We get a good idea of what's coming in the second half of 2023. And I think we're on track for that because we're having a whole show dedicated to Starfield Direct, which comes out in September. Outside of that, I'm hoping that we get release dates for Motorsport and Hellblade 2. Hopefully those games also come out in the second half of 2023. 2023. Then after we kind of get, okay, this is what's going on the rest of 2023, give us some stuff to look forward to in 2024. Do not give specific dates, specific release windows. Don't give a month. Don't say coming out April 2024. Don't give a season. This game's coming out in spring 2024. Just give a year. This is where I'm hoping to see Avowed personally. This is a fantasy RPG being worked on by Obsidian, set in the Pillars of Eternity universe. Apparently it's going to be like sort of like Outer Worlds, but with a fantasy flair rather than a space sci-fi kind of situation. And then once we get a good idea of some big hitters coming in 2024, then we can kind of, hit me with like, okay, this game's coming out in maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe another teaser for, I don't know, the Elder Scrolls or something even further along, maybe these other projects that don't have a name attached to them that Xbox Game Studios are working on. I definitely don't need like a 12-month format for the showcase, personally. I think that is way too bold of a prediction, first of all, for any platform holder to be making. The video game industry is so unpredictable right now. It's like every game is getting delayed, big and small. And I think Xbox set itself up for some problems when they made that 12-month promise at last year's showcase. A lot of games shipped from that showcase and we were able to play it. Problem is, most of the heavy hitters, like Starfield, like Motorsport, like Arc 2, like Stalker 2, were delayed out of that window, so it makes it look a little bit worse than it actually was in terms of their releases. On top of that, the games that were supposed to hold us over, like Minecraft Legends and Redfall, they were not received very well. I'm personally looking forward to the show. I'm looking for some good news as an Xbox fan. I'm looking for some renewed hype. Phil Spencer, when he made his appearance on the Kinda Funny Xcast, he sort of confirmed the appearance of certain games that Paris was talking about. Paris mentioned Contraband, Avowed, Fable, Perfect Dark, Everwild. And Phil Spencer said, yeah, we'll get some updates on some of the games that you just mentioned. He mentioned Avowed twice as well, and that he was impressed with the builds that he's seen so far. So I'm feeling optimistic that we'll at least see Avowed. If you don't care about that game, well, I'm sorry, but I care a lot about that game. As we discussed previously with Jimmy Champagne on the channel, the ROG Ally is also going to be making an appearance at the showcase. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm very excited. But let's be honest, guys, the pressure's on Xbox to have a good show and give us something to look forward to, especially if Sony comes out with their showcase and they have some bangers going on there. And Summer Games Fest is a couple days before the Xbox show as well. So if that is a really good show, Xbox, expectations are high, I feel like, especially coming off the kind of slump that they got going on. Either way, I'm definitely going to be there with Jimmy. So if you're there as part of Xbox Fan Fest and you see me, come say hi, man. I would love to talk to some of you in person, in the flesh. We can have our own little Xbox Ready meetup. It could be fun. Next up, let's talk about this developer's kind of snide, like so-so remarks on Game Pass. Basically, a developer who worked on the game Somerville came out and said, well, Game Pass he's not so sure about. This team, Jumpship, they got a pretty good deal to put their game on Game Pass, but that it hurts sales and that it's not his favorite. Because a lot of people just go in and try it and they don't invest. If they don't like the first 10 minutes, that's it. Also, if you don't make the first 10 minutes amazing, maybe it's also a problem. I think Game Pass is okay. It's not my favorite. My favorite is the old premium model where I sell you some video on big images and earn your $30. And then after that, I have to deliver. I don't need to get money out of you later. It's kind of weird because I see where he's coming from, but him complaining about the Game Pass model also illustrates why it is awesome as a consumer, because like he says, it gives you as a gamer the ability to try out a game. And since game demos aren't really a thing anymore, that's kind of awesome. Especially if you, like he said, don't like the game. If you download it on Game Pass, play 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, and you're like, you know what, this isn't for me, then you could just move on to the next thing. But if you paid the $30 as per his example and you end up hating it, you're like, okay, well, I just burned $30 for a game that I don't like. This is especially helpful in today's modern gaming landscape where developers have a kind of habit to release broken and unfinished games. And imagine that you'd be a lot more mad versus someone who played Redfall on Game Pass and was just like, okay, this game is whack, I'm gonna move on with my life. And if people really love a game on Game Pass, chances are pretty high high that they're going to buy the game or invest in the game in some way. That's certainly the case with me. For example, Chivalry 2 is on Game Pass. I play that game all the time, but I also bought that game and invest a lot of other money in that game, buying cosmetics and stuff, even though it's on Game Pass and I'm a Game Pass subscriber. So this is kind of weird. It's like, I see where this guy's coming from, but at the same time, you just made the argument for why Game Pass is cool. It's not really like slamming Game Pass. He's kind of taking a little bit of dig. There's plenty of other developers that have a lot of praise for Game Pass. The people at Coco Cucumber who just put Ravenlock on Game Pass had nothing but good things to say about the subscription service. But when push comes to shove, I don't think Game Pass should be the only option of playing games. I like that there's a mix. Next up, guys, let's talk about the Activision Blizzard acquisition. I know, I keep saying I'm not going to talk about this because my interest is like at an all-time low with this deal. But at the same time, it is one of the biggest things going on in the Xbox world right now, so I kind of feel obligated to talk about it. Now, up until this point, we've been hearing a lot of bad news in regards to this deal. It's blocked in the United Kingdom. Here in the US, the FTC is suing to try to block it as well. But today we got some good news. On Monday, May 15th, the European Union officially decided to approve this deal. So in terms of the European market, this deal, Activision Blizzard and Microsoft, it's good to go. This is a great step in the right direction for Microsoft. The European Commission said, taking into consideration the feedback of the market, the Commission concluded that the proposed acquisition, as modified by the commitments, would no longer raise competition concerns and would ultimately unlock significant benefits for competition and consumers. The conditions decision is conditional upon full compliance with commitments. Under supervision of the commitments, an independent trustee will be in charge of monitoring their implementation. That is, of course, referencing making sure that Microsoft, Xbox, they make sure Activision Blizzard titles are available to be streamed on any cloud gaming service, and that they have full parity. That obviously also extends to keeping Call of Duty on all platforms as well. But as we all know, the major gripe that a lot of these regulatory bodies suddenly have is with the cloud gaming space. But as a reminder, guys, while this is a good step in the right direction in terms of Xbox closing this deal, or Microsoft, I should say, they still have a long way to go. They're still blocked in the United Kingdom. They are still blocked, sort of, in the United States. So this thing is going to drag on for a lot longer. But getting approved in Europe, good first step. Anyways, guys, let's move on to a perk you may not know you have as a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber. Now, first of all, if you don't know, as a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, yes, you get the games, yes, you get Xbox Live Gold, but you also have Game Pass Ultimate perks. I've talked about this a few times in the past on the channel, but I feel like Game Pass perks, they don't get talked about enough. And if you don't know, perks essentially gives you free stuff for being a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber. In the past, I've gotten Discord Nitro, I've gotten Crunchyroll Premium, I've gotten Apple TV, I've gotten Spotify, I've gotten Apple Music. Things that if you take into account the monthly costs will massively outweigh what you pay for Game Pass Ultimate. Now, for all my Game Pass Ultimate subscribers out there, all my fellow brothers in arms out there, you now have the opportunity to claim 75 days of Walmart Plus. Now, with Walmart Plus, you get free grocery delivery, free shipping on whatever items you buy online. You get special deals and rewards, and you also get early access to buy certain things that may be hot ticket items. This was especially helpful during the great console shortage if you were trying to buy PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. But with your Walmart Plus subscription, you also get 30 days free of Paramount Plus. So in this weird kind of cool twist, your Game Pass Ultimate subscription will get you 2 other subscriptions for free, at least for a short while. My recommendation, scoop up this Walmart Plus subscription, get Paramount Plus, watch all of Avatar: The Last Airbender if you have not. Paramount Plus has all of the old school Nickelodeon shows, all SpongeBob, all Rocket Power, all Avatar. And then once football season starts, it's one of the only streaming apps that is actually reasonably priced where you can watch live sports. They stream all of the CBS aired football games. And if you watch all of Avatar: The Last Airbender through this deal, maybe consider checking out my other channel, Raynami, and I've kind of been focusing more on Avatar content. I just posted a video talking about the live action version of Avatar that's supposed to be coming out on Netflix. Walmart Plus is not the only thing that you can claim as a Game Pass Ultimate member. They're still running that special on Discord Nitro. You get 3 months of Discord Nitro and you have until June to redeem it. You can still get 3 months of Apple Music if you claim it by June 30th and redeem it by July. They're giving away stuff for Apex Legends, Smite, MLB The Show 23, World of Tanks, The Elder Scrolls Online, Black Desert Online, Madden NFL, Phantasy Star Online 2. So yeah, there's a bunch of free stuff waiting to be claimed for all Game Pass Ultimate members. And it's yours to claim, man. Take advantage of it. Why not? Anyways, guys, that's all the news I have for today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready. We'll see you in the next one.